listeners, Harika here, and I'm super excited to welcome you to UppTalk. If you're ready to learn and get your hands work wonders in the world of information technology, then you're in the right place. When I say UppTalk, we are not just another edtech company. Consider we are your learning partner committed to unlocking your full potential. Whether you're stepping into the world of technology for the first time or looking to advance your career, we provide top-tier, hands-on courses to build up your career. Let's take our first step towards learning here and explore it.
We know. See, first of all, when you have created this calculated bill, you should not have used this TF. This TF is a total calculated bill. Here you would have used. Now the TF active, that's fine. Worker date today, default value is fine. If worker is active, but not only then hire date. Worker is active, not on. This is a delivered bill. You use or you created this. No, it's alright. You only created this. No, it was there. This is existing bill. That's fine. Here currently active is equal to yes, only is equal to blank. This, someone has created this container. That's fine. No worries. Basically, this is saying if worker is active, you know this will return true value. If worker is on leave, we know it will return false value. Now the second condition is terminated. That is fine. Then future here. What is this condition? This one. I'm confused. I just selected. Terminated and future. Here basically terminated worker and future worker. You don't need terminated worker here. You are trying to identify future worker, right? Here, what you would have done is now you would have created a true, false calculated bill. And in that calculated bill, you should have checked whether hire date is greater than today. If hire date is greater than today, let's say someone is getting hired tomorrow, that's a future date and time, right? We need to, for future date, we just need to extract the hired. There you can build this condition, like if hire date is greater than today's date, then you just pull hired. One more calculated field, right? In that we need to put the condition true and false. Here you need to create a calculated field. Got it? And we know that the good point is here. If you edit, you will get all the options. You don't need to create a calculated, fill another window there. You can simply you will get option to create a calculated. This is also a system-wide calculated fill. Any other question? Wait, and Corona is not there. I'm not sure whether they remember, they get the session or not. This happens 1 or 2 days. This happens when you skip the session. Then many people won't know. Let's start. Now the next calculated field we have is yesterday. We discussed a lot of calculated field. Corona mentioned that she'll join little late. She just texted. We can go, we can follow. For a bit now, we don't know. No worries. Yesterday we were discussing, the calculated field functions we have, and we discussed about data transform and data numeric constant. Text constants of string text. Convert text to number. Increment, decrement date, text length. Arithmetic calculation, true for date constant. Evaluate expressions. We discussed, all this, calculated fill. And then we started creating calculated fill using evaluate expression function. This evaluate expression, function will be used when you need to check multiple conditions. And after checking those multiple conditions, when you will need just one value. Let's suggest a kind of flag. If you get into a situation something like this, like you need to find out, you need to create a calculated field where you want to categorize people in the industry. For example, if the salary is greater than thou hunt 20,000 it, then they will be considered as high. If salary is between $80,000 to $120,000, then that will be considered as medium. And anybody, any person who is having salary less than the $80,000, then that will be considered as a low grade. If you need to create this kind of flag situation, you want to categorize like who are all belongs in high grade, who are all belongs in medium grade, who are all belongs in the low grade, then there you can create a calculated field, and you can just tag a flag with each and every one. When you create it, I think you understood what is the purpose of this evaluate. Expression, calculated fill. It's just two. It's just, this function, let us actually validate multiple conditions in just one calculated fill and based on those multiple conditions. If this calculated fill helps us to generate one value for all those conditions, that's why we use, evaluate expressions. Now we have another calculated field, that is lookup range band. Lookup range band. Let me write here. Lookup range band. This will be, similar to evaluate expression. Let's start. Let's see how exactly we can create that. Here, let's say let us consider one example. Where you want to classify, classify people with their age. Let's say if age belongs to 0 to 10, we'll consider as child. If 11 to 20, consider as teenager. 21 to 40 adult, and 41 to 100 senior citizen. For example, if you need to create something like base, you can go for lookup range band. In evaluate expression, when you had to define the conditions, you had to create one calculated field where you are implementing logic. But here, when you will create the lookup range band, this lookup range band, here you can just pass value manually. For example, let us create a new lookup range, similar kind of sorry. Create calculated field CFLR B lookup range band and then age category on worker. Here, just pick the business object in which you want to create the calculated fill. The option is lookup. The function is lookup date, lookup range band click. Once you click, then you know you need to find out like on which fill you want to. Create, these categories. Basically, my requirement is based on, the age. The category needs to be divided. What I'll use here is, I'll use the direct field which we have is age. You can use any number field or any field. The source field is age. Now decimal places. If I need to include any decimal places, then I'll just use after whatever number of digits after decimal places. I just want to consider. For example, the FTE. FTE is one kind of fill in HR system which tells you like how much percentage you are allocated to a project. Let's say your FTE is 0.50. That means you are a part time in that project. You're only working for half of the schedulers. Let's say if the schedulers is 8 hours a day, then you will be working for only 4 hours. The FTE. If something is 0.75 T, then you need to, you will be 25%. That kind of basically you can use that. There, FT can be, 0, 100, 120, anything, If you are working in multiple projects, then you will be having multiple FTEs for, each and every project. If you want to categorize like, if 0.1 to, 0.2040, you want to categorize as a, lower part-time employees, then, low point fully 1 to 0.80, you want to categorize as higher part-time workers. And after that, as 0.85 TE, you want to consider them as a full-time worker. There also, you can create your own situations here, and based on that you can create the calculated. Here, in this case, we have to categorize. If the age is in between 0 to 10, we will consider that age group as a child. If the age is between 11 to 20, we will consider as teenagers. Then 21 to 40, we will consider as adults. And then whoever is greater than 41, then we will consider as senior citizens. Here you just define the source field on which you want to apply the logic. And the decimal places. If you want to, put, then you can put, otherwise it's fine. Then rounding off. If you want to do any kind of rounding, you will be able to do here. Now, here you can create the conditions. For example, for age I want to define as if the value is 1 and the value reaches still 10, I'll consider that as child. If the value is in between 11 to 20, then I'll consider as teenager. Here, if you see, we are not referring to any calculated fields or any existing field in the system. We are typing, text and numbers manually. This is the difference between evaluate condition and lookup range band. In evaluate condition also, the logic is like, the first condition will be triggered. If the first condition is satisfied, then the first returned value will return. If condition is not satisfied, execution will go to the next step. Again, if the condition is not satisfied, execution will go to the next step. Here also same thing will happen. It will start comparing from the first row. If you know this condition is satisfied, then it will simply stop. If condition is not satisfied, then it will check for another condition. If that is satisfied, it will return value. That condition is also not satisfied. It will go for another step for the execution and do the same thing. Here I have classified, as you know, 1 to 10 as child, 11 to 20 as teenagers. Now 21 to 40 as adult 40 seems actually, let's make this 50. Twenty-one to 50. Let's say 50 looks greater than 45. 21 to 45. Let's say adult, and then after you can just add 41 to 46 to whatever you want to give. 120. Let's say then you want to say call this a senior procedure. Now click. Now when you will run this report, you will be able to see the classification. Here, if I run this report, I have already added this calculated field in this report. So come on. Sees LOB is on work. This is the calculated field. Now based on A, this is categorizing. At the age which is greater than 50, it is considering as senior citizen. Then similar to that. We know there are many employees and it is categorizing. All those employees in one group. Whichever we have defined in the lookup range when here it seems like everyone is greater than 40. Everyone is senior citizen, but you can create your own. I saw some of them are 43 also. There is a senior citizen. What is that? But this is the, maybe the condition was like that. This is the old calculated, fill in the report. Here I just considered till 21 to 40 only. I understand. You guys are clear on this one. Colini, any questions? Yes, this lookup range is work. For what others conditions, Ganesh? We do not see not other conditions. Wherever you see, you have one value and you want to define the range. See, to define the range, you should be having value. Now let's say you can use for the salary also, right? Salary. If we get this kind of salary, we can give that bonus kind of like that. Yes, you can say if salary, let's say if salary lies between 1 lakh to 2 lakh, you want to give bonus as only 6%. If salary is 50,000 to 1 lakh, you want to give bonus as 10%. The salary is left and the bonus is high. If you want to build that kind of condition, if you want to return that bonus value percentage, then also you can use this calculated. That's a good example. This calculated field works only for the number value. You can number value is fine. For takes value, I have never tried to be honest. Let's try it. You know that's at this point of time only. But takes will be, let's see. I think even if we want to take text, we have to again text the number. And then we need to. It's not going to actually work on text. But you know it is going to work on number numeric. You know fields and currency. Here it's mentioned only the values, right? A value will be on the number only. But the value range should be on the number. Basically, see, it will work for only two types of fields. One is numeric field and the other one is numeric field and another is currency field. It won't work for text type of fields. But to avoid, just confusion, let's just try to add it. Here, if you give any text value, for example, you know what text we have employed it. It's taking number. It's not going to take text at all. And we know it's a common thing, like in text. What kind of situation, what kind of condition, what kind of range we will be able to build. Nothing, right? Right, yes. You know this will be on numeric and currency. Currency good. That's a good question. You know who is that? Corona Shalini. Yep, it's still not there, no worries. Basically, you understood the purpose of, lookup range band, right? Like, if you need to derive a complex curve, conditional calculated field. There you will. You're going to use evaluate condition. Evaluate expression. But you will, if you will be having some numeric value, and based on that numeric value, if you know you need to design some conditions and the values, then you can go for lookup range band. Another difference is sometimes people will ask the differences between evaluate expression and lookup range band. The first condition is like evaluate expression can work on any type of field, whereas lookup range band will work on only numeric or currency field. Second thing is in evaluate expression you create conditions to identify the eligibility. Here in lookup range band, you will be having from value to value. You can just hard code manually the values and you will be able to build the conditions. Basically, in lookup range band, you can define the range. In evaluate expression, when you will build can that calculated field can return any type of fields. For example, in single instance, multi-instance, then text type, date type. Any kind of field. But here in lookup range band, you will always get a single instance field. You will always get a single instance field. These are the differences between evaluate expression and lookup range band. Now, did you understand in what situation you need to go for, lookup range band and in what situation you need to go for. This expression. Can anyone just explain with one example? Whatever we discussed. Apart from that. Lakshmi, Shalini, Karuna, anyone. If you see real time, you can also, there is one example and I can say, let's say, if you extract year, year from the date of birth field. You can categorize people, right? Like, whoever has been born in between, 2000 to 2010. Let's say, one category. If you want to categorize, whoever has been born in 2010, 2011 to 2020, just the one category. I mean, first generation, second generation, third generation, something like that. But that is something you can in this case. Basically, you know what calculated field you will use. Actually, evaluate expression. And why is that? Because we will extract from the field itself, right? We are not adding, we are not giving any input from. But still you are working on the numbers only, right? But evaluate expression can do on anything, right? Types, any type of field. See, the thing is, whatever you build in lookup, range band, all those things, you will be able to build on evaluate expression as well. All those conditions. Even in this example, if you need to compare and return some values, you will be able to, build evaluate expression. But there you will create a lot of calculated field. For each and every condition, you will create a calculated field. And then to return value, you will create a calculated field again, right? Let's say there are 10 conditions and 10 class you need to generate. What you are doing is you are creating 10 conditions, 10 calculated fields. You create the condition and 10 calculated fields for the return value, right? But here, if you extract here from date of birth, there will be one calculated field. And if you use that, if you just use that calculated field in here, in the lookup range band as a source field, and here, you can just directly hard code. You don't need to create another 9 calculated fields. Evaluate expression is kind of simple, and this works as a if-else, right? That will also, that also works as a if-else. Both work as a if-else. Both are works as a if-else. But if the numeric value, if you need only the numeric value, then we can use this one. But if you need that true and false and some other values, then we can use that evaluate expression. It's simple in this way. Like you have one field. If the calculated field or delivered field doesn't matter. If you have one calculated field which is storing a numeric value, and if you need to define the range using, that field. 1 to 10, 10 to 10, then this one is easy. You don't need to create, other calculated field for conditions and for return value. But if something is, if there is something where you can't, get the numeric or currency value, for example, text, you have to compare the text. If the country is, Australia, then send currency as a year. If the country, that is something you will not be able to do in lookup range band. For those you will use evaluate expression. Got clear, right? Now there are other, just mathematical calculations of calculated field in which there is one count related instances. And then we have some related instances. We have count related instances and then some related instances. This is mainly used. Let's say, one worker is having multiple, dependents. One worker is having multiple dependents and you want to, get the count of, each and every count of all the dependents for each and every worker. There you would be able to use, this count related instances and you will be able to understand. Let's see how exactly we create count related instances. Good morning, tenant. Tenant was running, very and then this time I don't know what happened. I think many people are running in, this time could be. At what time is the good time? Like you observed which, when is the like it's working fast. I mean, in the morning, I think 5 am, ISV, I was, taking one batch, and that was good actually. Oh, then maybe we will try that time. For us, our morning, like our night time, it's very slow. I think it's India is a morning time, and then when I do like after the class, it's pretty good. India, India morning time is your night time, only right. I always try to be in the night time to do like after, like my evening only like 5 o'clock, and then that time is super slow. But after class, it's like till 12, it's good. Better than like evening time or evening time. Actually, the thing is, when your night is slow, you will not, feel interested in, working in that. Even though that, I mean, you know what are the steps you need to take. I mean, what exactly you want to do. Everything you are visualizing. But when you are, trying to do on the system, it's like, I mean, you will take, you know, just 2 minutes in building just one conditional calculated field. And gradually, you will get, bored, like, what am I doing? Same thing happened with me yesterday, Ganesh. I was created that calculated field 2 times, and then suddenly the window got like the browser was refreshed. And then 2 times I couldn't save it. And third time I made it that. That's like it's crazy. Like what should I do? Just for creating one calculator, it takes time. I mean, if you write something on a paper, the good thing about that is, like, you will remember those terms. See, when we talk, I am discussing. I am familiar with all of these terms, but you guys are new to these terms. What happens is, like, when I speak, it's very easy for me to speak. I am visualizing those things. But to make you visualize, you are just focusing, trying to visualize what is happening here. And let's say in one class, if I use multiple terms, then everything in your mind, it will be collapsed. You have to speak again and then again think, like what exactly he means and what are the steps. Basically, you need to review from the beginning, like initially what topic was started and then where exactly we move on. Those things happen. Anyway, if you write on pen and paper, that's a good thing. I'm doing that only. Let's see. I mean, finally. I mean, that's why I have already created one report and in which I have already created calculated fields. To show you, this will be a little bit easy. Otherwise, our decision is going very slow. To be honest, I have to cover a lot of things till today, but we are going very slow because of this pen and, you know. Anyway, I think, this slope is, the slowest way it suits you, I believe. I mean, you are getting ample amount of time to, practice as well. And you are understanding things, in a right way, right? Or, do you think like, this speed is also very fast something? Do you feel? At least I can see all the fields, like I can just try, like what all are there. That's the main thing, hands on. Even if I am creating a calculated field, you will only remember that thing when you will create that calculated field. It's not the one more thing I think, you have mentioned most of the times, like, just give us some scenarios where, we will create calculated field, we will do the practice. Those scenarios are not, to be honest, documented anywhere. But I can think of multiple scenarios from the project experience. Whatever I have, what I would say is, when you know the concept, when you know the this calculated field can be used in this way. You think about the scenarios and you create calculated field, by your own. But that will give you a lot of exposure, like you want to do this. How exactly you can do this? Anyways, whatever scenarios I'll be having, I'll definitely share. But you can also build scenarios and you can get those scenarios validated from me as well. Let's say you're trying something, but that is not working out. You can just ask those questions. The next calculated field we have is correlated instances. These correlated instances are something If you need to get the the count of workers in one particular location. The count of workers belongs to one cost center, one supervisory organization. If you want to get the count of all dependents, for each and every worker, they will be able to use correlated instances. Here in the correlated instances, before we proceed, let us understand the relationship between employee and dependents. We have discussed this thing in the past. Let me just read it again. There are, there is 5 employees in the company. Let's say E1. There are 5 employees in the company, and each employee is having some dependents updated. The one is having E1, D2, D3. Employee E2 is having again T1, just 2. Then employee 3 is having dependents, as D1, D2, D3, D4. Similarly, E4 and D5 is having some dependents. Now, the relationship between employee and dependent is here is the spouse, son, daughter. Here, let's say spouse, then daughter. Here let's say again a spouse, then son, then daughter. Basically here, if I say these are the employees, these employees have, added dependents in their, insurance. I just want to get the count of dependents for each and every worker. Let's say if I ask you how many dependents are there for E1, how much it would be? There are 3 dependents, right? For E1, there are 3 dependents. Now, if I say only dependents, let's say, if I ask only dependents is 3. Now, if I ask for employee E1, how many child dependents are? How many dependents are child? Child as dependent. Here it will be 2. If I ask the same thing for E2, how much it would be? Dependent. The dependents 2 and here it is 1. Then if I ask for E3, the dependents would be 4 and 3. 4 and 3. What we are doing is, this is a primary business object. This is a related business object. We are trying to get the count of related business object, the related instances. We are trying to get the count of related instances. Now it could be we just simply get the related instances for employee E1, or it could be we get one conditional related instances for E1. Here, this is a dependent business object. Here, this is employee business object. Every employee is having dependent. Here is this 3. This 3 is just all the related instances for employee E1. All the related instances for employee E1, irrespective of any conditions. But here this is also. You know the count, the related, this is also this dependents are also related to employee E1, but with one condition. I'm not considering a spouse here. This is what we are going to do in the count related instances. Just one example. Here, if you see, I have created one calculated field. Let me just, create in this edit form. Just give the, calculated field MCF, CRI, dependence on workers. CR means count, related instances. Then, you just want to get the count from which related business object. Here, my report is on worker business object. I am getting one instance for each and every worker, but I want to get the count of all the dependents who are related to each and every instance of the primary business object, that is, worker. I want to get the count of all dependents. If I want to get count of all dependents, I just use the related field. This is dependence related field. Then this related business object will by default appear. You don't need to give anything. Then here in count you will see 2 options. The first option is all instances. The second option is instances where the condition is true. Here in this example. In this example also, I showed you this dependent field is all the instances irrespective of the conditions. But this count is with one condition. The relationship should be child. Here in this calculated field, this is this, all instances is selected. This all instance selected means this calculated field is going to get the count of all the dependents associated to one worker. Now, if I want the second one, I don't want even, I don't want powers. I just want the children. How many children is an every worker is having? If I want to get that, then I need to build the conditions here. Here in this calculated field, instead of all instances, I would have this instances where the condition is true. And here I would have created one calculated field on dependent business object where I would have defined the relationship should be child. Let's create that. CF relationship is children relationship is child on dependent. Here let's create on dependent business object. Then the function will be true false. Click. Here in the field, just mention relationship. Relationship. Here in the operator in the selection list. In the selection list. And there I have to build conditions that relationship should only be child. Then the comparison value, you just check what are all the relations are there. See son and daughter. I don't want to, to explain it here. It's pretty much one simple, option is child. Either it's a, girl or boy, it doesn't matter. I'm just comparing. That should be a child. The relationship should be a child. I just clicked on this child. Then, click. Now your condition is based. Basically, now this calculated will return only the number of children each and every worker is having. Click. Now go to report or run this report again. Before we run, let's just see. Relationship. Do we have any relationship field? I think we have. Child. Child is pause. Basically, where is Sirarai? Here I'm getting the cons like the children's pause and all that. Now let's run this report again. Here, if you see earlier, Sira, I was giving 1 0. Let me know, just show you. See, for a line, see earlier it was 2 because earlier it was counting pause as well. Earlier it was 2, but here, if you see, that has been reduced because I have put one condition instead of all instances, just speak. All the dependents whose relationship is child. Is this clear? Any question on the cons related? Yes, we are good. You're good, right? This cons related instances is done. Then let's go with the sum related instances. The sum related instances like, let's say you have one related business object, and there you just want to do the summation. For example, it's not a very practical example. Basically, if let's say we have one dependent business object and you want to get the summation of one of the ages of all the dependents. For example, let's say if you want to do that, like each and every employee is having some dependents and there are some, ages of those dependents, and then I just want to get the summation of the ages of all the dependents. If in this case, basically we know we can use some related instances. The real time example, you can understand as like, let's say, one worker is applying too much of time off. Let's say, you want to get all the leave requests, the number of days of leave requests applied by one worker in 1 month. These are the real time examples. You will be able to just get those things using some related instances. Here we are not going to use the complicated one as the number of time offs and leave requests. For an example, we will create a very simple condition. Like you need to find the sum of all the sum of ages of all of your dependents. Here in this example, let's say E1, the age of D1 is let's say 45 and son is 10, the daughter is 5 for example, then the spouse is 42, then the daughter is let's say just 10. 43. Son is 2, then son is 5, and the daughter is, let's say, 8. Now what you need to do is you need to find the summation of all this on worker business object. What you can do is scenario. You are clear, right? What is the scenario? CFSR dependence is on worker dependent. Here again, if you want to create condition like, if you want to, calculate the total summation of age for only child, you will be able to use the same condition. If you just, want to go, with like all instances, then you can simply just, use the all instances option. Here's the field, the sum I'm giving as is click. Now just go and edit this report. Here, let's say worker. Let me copy this some related instances. Some related instances here, and then here in the dependent, let me give the age. Click. Age also 3. This 3 is fine. Here it is all in 18, that's fine. Let me see if I have used any condition there. Let's see how exactly we know this is working. Here we know the dependents, this, 4 columns. Let me just extract in Excel and it will be easy for you. Come on. Now let's go. The employee ID, and then I just don't need. Alright, that's fine. Now see, these are the employees. Here for this employee, this employee ID, if you see, let us just highlight this in yellow or something like this. Here, if you see, this worker is just, one of the, this worker is having just one dependent, that is child. The age of the child is 3. The sum related instances is also giving 3. Now let us, let us consider this example here. This worker is having 2 wives. This worker is having, 2 wives. And 2 wives and 2 dependents as well. The age of, both the wives is 59. Here, if you see this in the comp related instances, it is coming at 1118. It has added this 59 plus this 59. Excellent. Now let's see. There is one another example where we have multiple dependents. Here 3 rows. Here, if you see, this worker is having 3 dependents. The age of the, each and every dependent is 24, 50 to 23. See, this is the sum related instances. If you add up this 24, 50 to 23, it is 1 and 2. Now you understood, like, if there is any, field where you need to perform some age and in related business object, you will be able to, do that using some related instances. Here, in this case, I just wanted to add the ages of all the dependents of the worker. The worker is primary business object. The dependent is related business object. I created one calculated field, some related instances on worker business objects where I used dependents as a related business object, in which I gave the field age to be summed up and age to be summed up. Here, let me open this calculated field. Here, see, this is a sum related instances. Here, I created a calculated field on worker business object. I use related, related field as dependent because I just wanted to, get the age of, get the sum of ages of all the dependents. Use dependent business object. Then in the sum, I just use all instances. If you want to get, the summation of ages of only child, Then here you just need to click instances where the condition is true, and this will define your own condition, whatever you want to build. Then I use the field to sum age. What exactly I want to add? I wanted to add the age of the dependents. That's why here I have used a field to sum as age. Any question on this one? Some related instances? Please do like, share and subscribe to our channel. For more information, contact us sales@uptalk.com.